In this example, I wanted to show you how you can do some really cool advanced stuff with Vuejs. So Vuejs has a bunch of these add-on libraries that provide additional functionalities. So there's one here that's a very useful one, so Vue Resource. And what Vue Resource does is it allows you to make web requests and handle essentially AJAX requests. So you can use jQuery and integrate it with Vuejs and create those AJAX requests with jQuery, or you could make them just a standard JavaScript. But because we're looking at Vuejs, we're going to show you how to bring in these resources and these libraries. So this is one that we can use with a CDN. There's also different installation methods here with Bower and npm. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the CDN because this is what we're just using in our simple project here, and I'm going to bring that resource in, which is going to give me access and capabilities that we have within that library here. So there's some documentation here, configuration. So that's all we have to do for configuration because we're bringing in the CDN, and we've got our usage here. So we can do posts, we can do gets, and we can get callbacks and information and so on. So a lot of really useful stuff here. I've created already a list of, if we want to, I'm going to use this API random user. And what this does is this is just a location website, randomuser.me, and they allow you to do some queries and get some random information. So I can query 50 people, I can query 5, and I get these random results here. And I'll just show you the website here that I'm going to be using. So this is just a quick way to get access to an open source API generating some random data, and now we can interact with that data via our Vue application. So let's take a look back at resource, and we're going to take a look at how we're going to call this this method and how we're going to load that in. So let's open up our editor, and maybe what we can do is we can just simply list out all of those items there that are going to be in that array. So we're going to set up data, and we're going to create an array items, and I'm going to start out with null. And once this instance has been created, then we're going to launch out to this function that's actually going to load the data in. So we're going to get a method that we're going to just call get results or something like that. Get people. How about get people? And here is where we need to create that method. So under our methods, this is where we've got that get people method that we're calling just over here, and then here we've got our function. And let's take a look at this, and first of all let's just console log this out just to make sure it's working. And over here we're gonna just create an unordered list with a bunch of list items. And these list items, we're going to do a v4 item in items. That's the great thing about Vue. It's just really easy to pull out all of these items. And right now we're not going to have any items, so I'll just put a placeholder in there, a 1. So let's see what happens when we load our application. So we don't have anything in items. Right now it's just completely blank. So we haven't had the option yet to load that in. So let's go back to this resource, and we're going to take a look at how we can load this in. So it's going to be really easy. So we can just simply, if we want to, we could just copy this out and bring this into our method. So we do have it working, as we can see here within console, so everything is working. So I can just remove out that console there, save that, and now I need to go back over to here, grab this URL, So it's going to query over to the URL. It's going to get a response, and maybe we'll bring that console log there again, and maybe we'll just log out that response. So let's take a look at this and see what happens now. So we see that we get a bunch of results there. We've got all of our data. We've got 50 different things that we're returning in the results array. So we need to isolate out that we want the response, and we want to get it as JSON data, and we want to pull back those results. So let's take a look at this now, and we see that we get all 50 of those random users as objects. So now we can actually start loading them into our array. So we've got an items, or we have to specify this items, and we're going to equal it to this returned result object. So save that and see what happens now. So the really cool thing is now we're starting to list out something within our HTML, and we see within the data we've got access to all of this data. So now it's as easy as just isolating out those objects that we want to output. So if I want to output, so now we've got access to the data, so item, name, and I believe it's first. So let's check this out, and now instead of those, so now we're getting those random returned names, those first names. Add in the last name as well, so now we can get all of those last names, and we can really begin to sort those. So let's add in that input where we had before, so it allows us to sort our items there. So input NV model again that we're going to use. And we're going to use the variable for search, and then we're going to filter that by search. So search, and we're just going to set search to be nothing right now. And then we just need to add in the pipe, filter by, and search. So we're going to search by that search value. Let's refresh it. And so now we can actually begin to search out all of this data that's being returned. And if we want to isolate it out, so we've got the ability to search and only return back, view the data that we want to look at. And it's as easy as that to build out all of this search functionality, pull in some data, and utilize it within the search. And now we've got a whole bunch of data that we can utilize. So we can even have like images, thumbnails, and a whole lot of really cool stuff that we can do with Vue. So let's pull those images as well, because you notice here that we do have access to thumbnails. So picture, thumbnail, and we'll pull that in as an image source. And with Vue, there's another really cool thing here with binding images. So we don't have to, we can bind it in as we've done here before, but we can also do this short form where we've got image, and we can bind the source to item, picture, and thumbnail. So it's going to bind that source automatically, and this is another one of those built-in options here within Vue that just makes things a little bit easier. So now let's take a look at this, refresh it, and now we got all of those images that we want, and we can see that search through and only return back the results that we want to look at. And we can also sort by gender, filter, whatever we want to do here. If we want to only sort by males, by females, we can add in maybe a radio button and add in additional filter to only return those. So a lot of really neat things that you can do with this. And again, this is adding in another library here within Vue that allows us this capability to do these requests. And of course, there's a lot more you can do. You can do posts as well. You can pass through parameters. So they've got a bunch of options here. So definitely worth checking out. And of course, we've got the ability to return those responses. So we were using JSON, but we also have the option to return it as a text string, a blob, and so on. And then here we've got some more examples of how to utilize this. We've got the status text headers, and so on. So we've got all of this functionality just by bringing in that library, and we can utilize it within our Vue code. So I definitely do encourage you to check that out. Check out the source code, maybe add in some additional filters here within some form options, and see what you can make happen here within this demo application.